everyone. My name is Jen Hinderleiter, and I'm the Executive Director of the Local Change Foundation. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today for the final session in our series of our virtual mental health trainings that Local Change is offering for free to the community this year. Our mission is to bring people and resources together to strengthen our communities, and we're really passionate about strengthening community mental health. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat as they come up. I'll help to monitor it and make sure that your questions get answered. And also, we'll send you a follow-up email in the next couple of days with a survey to get your feedback along with the recording of today's presentation. So without further ado, we are very excited to have Kim Muller, Executive Director of the Alliance for Suicide Prevention, as our presenter today. So Kim, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've had such a fun time doing these webinars in this series. And so some of what we're going to talk about today is going to build upon what we've talked about in the last ones. And as a reminder for those who may not know, you can go back on the Foundation's YouTube channel and watch the previous training so that you can see more of what we've talked about. Again, as she said, I am the Executive Director at the Alliance for Suicide Prevention, and part of suicide prevention is building wellness into our community, and so we're really excited to be able to be here. I can't wait to talk about mindful living. Mindfulness is such an important part of my life, and so I'm going to walk you through my experience as a mental health therapist in this field, bringing wellness into the workplace for over a decade, and also bringing in the science behind mindfulness and how it works and what it looks like. But to do that, I first want to take a minute to ground us. This is a practice that I do before every single training, before every presentation, or before I ever step in and work with an organization or a client. And I haven't done it yet for this training because I wanted to do it in real time with all of you. So if we could just take some time, I'm not going to guide you through anything. This is really all I'm going to ask for you to do is take 4 thoughtful breaths, whatever that looks like to you at whatever pace you need. But just 4 thoughtful breaths. I'm going to do it too. Maybe that was your 4 thoughtful breaths or like one giant stretch like mine was. So one of my favorite things as you're finishing that up about grounding, what that means is bringing calm back into my body. If you're anything like me, am running wild all the day. My brain is running, my body is running. I'm out doing things, and even when I'm not doing things, there's things happening in my head. And grounding is just an opportunity to restore some of that calm energy. So thank you for stepping into that with me. I have a few goals for us today. It is one, to define mindfulness, what it is, what is meditation in relationship to mindfulness? Can I use them interchangeably? We're going to talk about different evidence-based practices that you can do, as well as identifying different ways to integrate them into your real life. And then at the very end of this training, I'm going to give you the opportunity to mindfully slow down and think about which of the practices you might start integrating in real time. So we're going to go through about 20 different practices. I'm going to give you so many real life examples of things that you can do. But to do that, we got to start and make sure we have some shared common language. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes about what mindfulness is. So Jon Kabat-Zinn says that mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. I'm going to bring this quote back to us a couple of times throughout this training. But again, what we're talking about when we talk about mindfulness briefly, and then I'm going to dive into it a little bit more, is sometimes for people, it's helpful to define something by defining what it is not. So the opposite of mindfulness is the mind running wild, the body on autopilot. This is us just moving through motions without really purposefully thinking, why am I doing what I'm doing? Or what am I doing? Right. And research tells us that we run at this on autopilot about 50% of our lives. We're just going through the motions. And so today we're taking some time to slow down, to calm our energy. I'm a person, if you can't tell, who has really excited, a little bit chaotic energy all of the time. And so mindfulness is such an important practice of mine to help me stay calm and regulated throughout the day. And I don't mean calm like a zombie. I mean like non-reactive, right? And we're going to talk more about that. Okay, so the very first webinar that we did was about building your mental wellness toolkit. And so I want to talk really quickly about this because all of this feeds into one another, right? So for mental wellness, we're talking about how well you cope with stress, how well you connect with others, and how well you're enjoying life. Now, mental wellness is a spectrum, okay? And we are all on it every single day of our lives. Everybody is bouncing from super, super well to super, super unwell. All right. And that journey begins with identifying what in my life is bringing me joy. How am I navigating the difficult things? So we built a little toolkit to help with that. We talked about a few touch points, and one of them was stress. Now, we're going to get into stress just a little bit on this one because I think it's so important to talk about. It's such a common experience that we are all having. And what stress is your body's natural response to life. Okay, it's to the things that are happening around us and how we respond to it. And oftentimes that comes in the in fight. Wow, that the words were hard right there. So stress often shows up, there it is, in our life as fight, flight, or freeze. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and why we've landed on this last webinar on mindfulness, because it is a superpower. I'm presenting at Comic-Con. So Comic-Con, if you don't know, in Fort Collins is this weekend. Please come if you've never been, even if you're like, I don't know about this, it is a wonderful time. So we partner with them and we're doing a presentation, and it's very similar to this. And we talk about mindfulness as a superpower, because when you access mindfulness in stressful situations, which are life situations, right? Our mental wellness becomes stronger, becomes more fluid, more flowing. And so all of these things, I want to make sure that we have shared definitions of them as we move through. Okay, so stress, we've just talked about this. It's our body's natural response to perceived challenge or threat. And oftentimes this ends in fight, flight, or freeze. So just a quick reminder, the stressor is the external thing. It's the thing that's happening outside of us. And stress is what our body does physiologically. It's what we call the things that happen to our body when we have a perceived threat, when we go into fight, flight, or freeze. When our little lizard, so I tell people this is our lizard brain and this is our wizard brain, okay? Up here's where all of our decision-making power happens. When we are stressed out, the decision-making power, or the wizard, shuts down, and our lizard brain, our fight, flight, freeze, I'm in danger, takes over, and it turns into a giant dragon, okay? So here's the thing to remember too, that sometimes this dragon comes out in positive ways, like buying a home, which is a form of positive stress. Sending a kid off to college. One of my coworkers is taking her kid to college tomorrow. Very exciting, very stressful, positive stress. Negative stress is often those things that we can't necessarily control, okay? Like the economy or the state of the world, right? These are those things that we don't get to control. So, in our body, when we are experiencing stress, in the short term, this causes worrisome nervousness. This can feel like anxiety. This can increase our heart rate. It can decrease our ability to think rationally. Stress does a number of things to our body in the short term. Now, at the last webinar, we talked about the importance of moving through the stress cycle. So if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and go back and watch that. But as we move through the stress cycle, that's really important to keep us from experiencing these long-term effects of stress. So while we can't, while the stressor will not last forever, right? So when stress happens, that thing that's external, it doesn't last forever, but that doesn't mean that our body is done processing it. So one of the ways that we're going to move through stress and help our body process it is through mindfulness. Okay. That was kind of like a really, really fast recap. I hope you followed along with me, because I'm bringing you to mindfulness today to talk about it as a superpower to deal with the stressors of life so that you can build a strong mental wellness plan and life, right? So here's what we know. Here's what science tells us, that when you access mindfulness, when you integrate mindfulness into your body, it literally does the opposite of stress. So stress, it enlarges our amygdala, it sends off our fight, flight, or freeze, it shrinks our prefrontal cortex, and mindfulness literally does the opposite of that, okay? It calms our nervous system, it reduces our stress hormones, it literally does the opposite of stress. Same thing with the physical, okay? The physical effects of mindfulness. We know that it reduces inflammation, it improves your immune system, it increases your sleep. All of this is science-backed. We know that mindfulness does these things, and we have plenty of research to back this up. And in addition to those physical changes that we see, we also know that it reduces anxiety and symptoms of depression and helps us regulate better. If you're not a fan yet, if you're not curious yet, I'm this close, all right? And then we're going to dive into how to actually do these. What are the practices? What do they look like? And how do we do them in real life? Now, the last thing that I'm going to say about the science behind why this is so great is that when we practice mindfulness, we are changing the way that our body functions. We are changing the physiology of our body. We are conditioning our body to respond differently. We are actually changing our bodies, all right? And you can do this in as little, there's a great study, as 8 minutes a day, 6 days a week. Now, I want you to, I didn't think about this for such a long time, and I wish somebody had explained this to me, 15, 20 years ago, that mindfulness and meditation, okay, I had a way of explaining this, and let me think about it for a second. So meditation is the practice that I do daily to live a mindful lifestyle. So meditation is 15 minutes a day. Okay. I am trying to learn Spanish. I speak no Spanish. My grandpa, my mom's stepdad, was from Mexico, and he used to talk to me in Spanish so I can understand people yelling at me in Spanish, but I can't speak Spanish at all. Okay. So I'm on Duolingo, 15 minutes a day. It's a practice that I have to do. I used to have a water bottle that would light up every hour to be like, drink water. It was a practice that I had to do. Meditation is a practice. It's the same thing. I'm also learning to run right now. So every day I run 10 minutes a day. All right. When I started, it wasn't 10 minutes. I'm up to 11 minutes. Thank you very much. But this is a daily practice, right? Same thing. So meditation is not shutting your brain off. Your brain is a thinking machine. We don't want it to stop thinking. Meditation is the act of becoming aware of your thoughts. So when people say meditate for 15 minutes a day, they don't mean sit in silence and empty your brain out for 15 minutes. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying when people say meditate for 15 minutes a day, it means actively sit. I close my eyes because it's helps me be less distracted, right? It means to sit and be actively aware of your thoughts for 15 minutes. So when your thoughts are passing by, you know what's happening and you are not judging them. You're literally just observing them. So for me, when I'm having a hard time meditating, this is what it looks like. It looks like me sitting there being like, all right, I'm focused on my breath. Oh, nope, I'm distracted. Okay, I'm focused. Nope, I'm distracted. I'm focused. Nope, and I'm just constantly being aware of the fact that I'm distracted. And by drawing that awareness, I become aware of my thoughts throughout the day. And that 47% of the time that our brains are wandering, my brain doesn't do that as often. Okay. So all of the things that I'm about to tell you about, they are very simple. They are I'm trying to remember. I believe relatively easy to access for almost everybody. The the struggle is that people don't use them regularly. They use them like a band-aid instead of like a regular practice, right? It's like I'm gonna go to the gym once. Like if you only go to the gym once a month, that's not gonna really impact you. Like it's good for you that day. But if you want to see the effects of it, you have to do it regularly. Same thing. Okay, let me get off my high horse. Remind us that mindfulness is the paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So, some different types of mindfulness. Let me check. Okay, this is where we're going to slow down and I'm going to talk about these and I'm going to talk about what they look like in real time. And then at the end of this is when we're going to take time to go through and practice them. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to do that because what better time to practice things than when we have it scheduled? It's like a working meeting, right? I love a good working meeting where we all sit down and we're like, what needs to happen? Great, let's do it right now. That's my favorite kind. Okay, so a few different types of mindfulness. Let's start with breath and meditation practices. So 1 minute breathing reset. These again are simple, but I'm going to go through them and walk you. Here's what it looks like when I do these in real time and also slow down and give you some opportunities to practice it at the end. So after this slide, we'll slow down and we'll practice one of these 5 ones. Okay. So the 1 minute breathing reset. This is my favorite for when I have a lot of people coming at me with requests, whether it's my staff or my family, and people are just coming at me all day long. This is when I can tell that I'm getting spicy. This is when I want to cry, when I want to scream, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm in my car and I'm just like, this is when I know I need a 1 minute reset and I will time myself. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing. I want you to time yourself because sometimes we'll go, and this is me projecting, okay? This is my experience that I'm sharing with you, but also the knowledge that I have of others that I've worked with is I'm going to take a minute for myself. And we literally sit for 10 seconds and it feels too much. The intention of actually slowing down for the full minute is really important. All right. It's what gives our bodies the opportunity to regulate. So when we're hyper reactive, we need to slow our nervous system. I'm going to remind you that those stress hormones are going off. And part of that is just, I need to go sit quietly. I was just in this training where we were talking about supporting children. And I love this man, Dr. Alan Wolfelt said, um, he's a child psychologist and he talks about how oftentimes we put our kids in timeout when what really needs to happen is the adult needs a timeout. So I'm going to encourage you to put yourself in timeout throughout the day as needed. You'll be amazed at how beneficial it can be. All right, a body scan meditation. I am a person who has restless legs. And so, again, hyperactive, high energy. And at the end of the night, it's hard for me to wind down sometimes. And what I will do is I will go and I will lay down on my living room floor and I will do a body scan. And so, what this looks like, I'm going to invite you all to do this with me right now. I just changed my mind. I want to practice this in real time. Okay. So, I'm going to walk you through this. You sit however you are right now. You don't need to change anything about you. All right. So for a body scan meditation, the way that I'm going to start is I'm starting with my toes. So I have my eyes closed. If you want, you can close your eyes. I don't know where you're at, but I am wiggling my toes. And then I am tightening my feet like this. And I'm wiggling my toes. And then I'm feeling up my legs to my calves. And I'm going to stretch my legs, then roll my ankles. And I'm like, oh man, my left leg, I broke it several years ago. So even when I do a body scan, I'm like, oh, my leg, it hurts still. And I'm feeling those different sensations in my body. And I'm going to tighten my thighs and my hamstrings. Are those the same thing? My husband would be so embarrassed by me for saying that right now. Um, I'm going to feel my abs. I'm going to wiggle my belly. I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to flex it. I'm going to release it. I'm going to breathe a deep breath and fill it all the way down into my belly button. I'm going to notice the air in my chest and my tummy. Maybe going to put my hand on my heart and feel my heartbeat. I'm a wiggly person, so I'm going to wiggle my shoulders and I'm going to flex my arms and feel down into my arms and my wrists. And I am going to feel the tops of my head. And now you've done a body scan. And there's something about, I don't know about you, I don't know where you went just now, but as I was doing that to you, I'll be training and have like another thought. I'll be sitting here talking to you, training, and be like, oh, what am I going to eat for lunch? Right. And we're doing this all the time. But as I did that with you, I was so focused on the sensations in my body that I forgot that I had anything else to think about or do. So if I'm feeling super jittery, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to feel all of the energy in my body. Um, this is a great one if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling like you're floating, if you're feeling like, um, I can't even think of the word to describe it. It's like floating, right? You're just like, I don't feel like myself today. This is a great one to come back to yourself if you're ever having that experience. Now, a loving kindness meditation. I really like this one when I am stressed out because of somebody else. Now, I want to be careful, okay? I want to be careful not to not to be like it's your fault that I'm stressed out because honestly, it's all about me and my experiences, right? Um, but when I am stressed out because I'm worried about somebody else, even though I'll say that worry isn't love, let's talk about my kid for a second. All right. She's in middle school and well, she's about to start middle school, and that makes me really nervous. If I'm going throughout my day and I'm worried about my kid, I'm worried about my husband because he just started a new job, I'm worried about one of my staff members, right? When I am stressed out because my worry level is so high, this is when I use a loving kindness meditation. This is also what I use it also when I'm like spicy at another person. Okay. Uh, so if there's somebody that I'm like, this is also when I will use a loving kindness meditation. So when I'm worried about somebody or when I'm spicy at somebody. And the way that this looks is you sit, you take some deep breaths, you picture this person, and you're going to hold them in a golden light. You're going to just put them in a golden light and you're going to see them bright and shiny, and you're going to send them back out into the universe. Okay. This also can look like positive affirmations that you're saying for yourself or for somebody else. So for my daughter, it might look like me saying, I trust that she's in capable hands. I believe in her and I believe in her journey. It might sound something like that, right? And I might say that over and over again for a short period of time. It might become a mantra for me. But this is just a really great way to come back to ourselves when we're carrying something that's really heavy, that's probably not ours to carry, is to do a loving kindness meditation and then put it back into the universe or whatever you might believe back out there. Box breathing. I love box breathing for a few reasons. One, it's super uncomfortable. It's really weird. Okay. Box breathing is weird. And that's why I like it, because it really does force you to become present, because it's so awkward. Like, it's not natural that you have to think about it. Where if we're just doing regular breathing, we're not often we almost never think about the breaths that we're taking, right? So box breathing, it's used by the Navy. It's used by I shouldn't say just the Navy, by people in the military, by high stress jobs. And it's a way to immediately regulate your nervous system. So here's how it goes. You breathe in for 4. Don't try this right this second, because you'll be hyperventilating. So you're going to breathe in for 4 breaths. You're going to hold it for 4 breaths. You're going to breathe out for 4 breaths. And you're going to hold it for 4 breaths. So again, it's really, really awkward. Let me see where we're at on time. Great. We're going to do a box breathing for a second. So here's what I want you to do. I have to do it too. Get a breath. And then we're going to do it in just a second. Okay. So we're going to breathe in for 4. Ready? In. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, and release. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Was that weird? My counting was super off. I don't know, but you get the concept. Okay. I hope that some of you are sitting there kind of like laughing, like that was rough, but I get what you're saying. But again, box breathing is a very fast way to regulate that nervous system, to bring your dragon back into a little lizard and bring your wizard back online. All right. Another way to do this, we do this often in hot yoga, is an extended exhale. So you're going to breathe in, and then as you're breathing out, you want to push all of the air out of your lungs. Something about y'all, something about talking about all these breaths is making me like need to yawn a lot right now. Um, so the reason we come to the breath when we're talking about mindfulness is because because everybody has access to it. Literally, we all are breathing all day, every day. All right. You don't need anything. You don't need any tools or anything to access your own breath. And it's such a physical way, like we can see it, we can feel it, for people to have something to focus on. It does not have to be breath. All right. When we're talking about building mindfulness into your day, so often people think it's only deep breathing and meditation, but it's so much more than that. So let's talk about the other things that it can be, or what it looks like. Movement-based mindfulness is my favorite kind of mindfulness. I've said it at least twice by now, so this might be the 3rd time. I am a really high energy person, and I'm jittery all of the time. All right. So mindfulness can look like mindful walking. When I say mindful walking, I mean leave your phone at home. I love a no phone walk. Now I realize like there's context to this, okay? Like if it's an emergency, if you're leaving a kid at home, if like obviously do that. But if you can ever go for a walk where your only goal is to stroll. Uh, I have a few women in my life who love to walk and I love to walk, but we don't love to walk in the same way. When they love to walk, they're like, I'm here to get exercise. I need my heart rate up. I need all this. And I'm like, no, I'm here for like, I want to go walking with, Betty Sue, my 97-year-old neighbor. I want to go for a stroll. That's what I mean when I mean mindful walking is your only agenda is to be in movement with your body. All right. I do yoga. Now, one of my favorite things that one of my instructors says, and this can be any kind of movement, it doesn't have to be yoga, okay? Yoga is just one thing. She says, it's so funny because people come into yoga and they think like the stretching and the bending and the flexibility is this is you don't do that move in yoga. She says that people think that how far you can stretch or bend, that's what they think the point of yoga is. And she said, we do all of this movement to release the energy that is in us for the final move in yoga, which is Shavasana, which is laying flat. Okay. So I want you to think about this with any kind of movement. You don't have to choose stretching in yoga. This could be boxing. This could be a bike ride. This could be any kind of movement like that where you're moving your body to release the energy so that you can come and sit and be quietly aware of where you're at right now. Again, this is a practice, a 15 minutes a day of this sitting, or 8 minutes a day, if you will, of this sitting and becoming aware so that when you're going throughout your day, the whole goal of this is so that when you're going throughout your day, you are responsive and not reactive, that you breathe easy and let life happen instead of having to make life happen, if you will. I want to tell you about nature mindfulness. This isn't what I would call it when I came up with this with one of my friends. But I love to take my daughter on nature walks. So I say this, but it's really selfish. I actually like to take myself on nature walks. And what we do when we go on nature walks is when one of us is just spicy or stressed, really, okay, we go for a nature walk. Again, no phone. And our job is to notice things. Like, when was the last time you went and looked at the leaves? I want you to consider going for a walk and looking at nature. If you haven't done that in a while, go for it and be present to that very moment, right? Single tasking, I want to skip single tasking. I feel like single tasking and focused joyful task, we kind of debated this, but I'm going to put them together and I'm going to say things that bring you joyful movement, which is, for me, it's cooking, gardening. Again, I like to walk, drawing. So I like to doodle. I'm not an artist by any means, but I could sit and doodle and listen to a book on tape. And for me, that is mindful. I am right here. My brain is not wandering. I'm not worrying. I'm not stressed. I am present right here now. So that, again, looks like anything you want. And one of the reasons I was so excited to teach this class is to like maybe validate or reinforce or empower people that mindfulness is easily accessible. We just have to become aware of it and practice it just a little bit, maybe, to integrate it fully. Okay. I'm talking a lot and there's so much information. So I'm going to invite you to play a quick game. You don't need to turn on your cameras. You don't really need to do anything. I'm going to play this game and I'm going to encourage you to do it at your home by yourself. Okay. So before we get into this, actually this goes great with sensory and awareness practices. All right. So you're going to stick your thumb up like this. You're going to stick your finger up like this. And then you're just going to switch it. And you're going to switch it. Now, I have done this game with more people than I can imagine, and I can't tell you how many people do this or this. Sometimes people do this. Sometimes people will like end up like shooting guns at me, which is not really the point. Um, but I love this. Some of you might remember as a kid learning how to like pat your head and rub your belly. This is the same thing. This is just one way. Some of you might be like, what did she just do to my body? Right? So this is just one way to bring our attention back to where we are in the present moment. So once you get this one down, right? And you're not like, I want you to flip it. See, I still can't, like, to pinky and thumb. Look, I'm still doing it. Anyway, uh, this is one sensory or awareness practice to bring you back into your body in the present moment. If this is great, if you're with young people, my kiddo is 11, and if her friends are just like, sometimes they're like, hey, y'all, let's ground our bodies. Can we play a game real quick? And we'll play this. And it's amazing how quickly they come back to themselves. The 5 senses check-in. This is one that I think is probably like the most common that people have heard of, whether you're in the mental health space or not. But the 5 senses check-in is when you're out and about, if you're feeling high anxiety, high stress, and you're like, I need to come back right here, right now, or you're with somebody who's really having an out-of-body experience. And you're safe, right? I'm talking more of like just like, oh, I can't even with life right now. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to notice to see what are 5 things you can see. What are 4 things you can hear? What are 3 things you can feel? What are 2 things you can smell? And what is 1 thing you can taste? And you're going to just go through your 5 senses and count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's very grounding. For people. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I love this next one, mindfully listening. People, well, okay. We ask people all the time. We ask teenagers, we ask adults, what do you wish? So for teenagers, the question is always, what do you wish adults knew about teens or teen mental health? And for other adults, it's what do you wish your best friend knew? And more often than not, the response that we get is, I wish they were better listeners. I know they love me. I know they care, but they should all over me, right? So have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to express something, you're trying to share an experience, and somebody goes, you know what you should do? I really think you should, and they just should all over you, right? How helpful is that? It's 0% helpful, right? Now, every single person on this call, every single person who watches this, you all have a story. Every single one of us has a story, but we don't share our stories very often because people suck at listening. Now, hear me out. This isn't malicious. It's not intentional. It's just not a skill that we're taught very often. And so, one thing that is so empowering that you might not think of is being an active listener, is saying, can I have a cup of coffee with you? Can I call you real quick and ask you how you're doing? All right. Here's a kicker to this one too. Not only if you call somebody or reach out to somebody with the intention of witnessing their experience and listening without planning to respond, your only job is to be a witness to another person's story. One, it's great practice because you're fully present in them. You're not wondering, you're not worried, what should I say? What should I do? You can even tell somebody like, hey, I'm practicing being present. I want you to tell me about your life right now, and I'm just going to listen. All right. So not only is it good practice for us, one of the major protective factors against suicide, so right, total complete despair, one of the major protective factors is being of service to another human being. So if you find yourself in a high stress situation, you find yourself really having a hard time regulating, turning your attention to another human being of service to another person is one of the best things that you can do. And it increases your, it helps you to become present. It helps you to stay focused in the here and now. Love it. So if you haven't gone and like sat down and listened to somebody's story in a while, try it out. I love listening to people's stories. I'm like, here's how you get people to talk. All right. I say this more times in a day than I can think. And here's my magic words. Are you ready for them? Tell me more. That's it. That's all you have to say to somebody. Oh my gosh, tell me more. I'm so sorry to hear that. Tell me more. That's really exciting. Tell me more. And then shut your mouth and you'll be amazed. And I say that with so much love. You'll be amazed at what people will share with you and how it pulls you out of your own fear, awareness, stress. Mindful hand washing and dishwashing. Again, this is a quick, in real time, I can do this right now, is just take a minute to feel your body. You see babies all the time, just like, I picture like a baby like holding its foot and like sucking on its toes. And it's like, what is this, right? I love babies because they're such a beautiful example of mindful creatures. They are just present all the time. They really don't know any other way. And the idea of washing your hands or washing dishes with intention is, again, it's like the body scan. It's to bring you back to this moment. Oftentimes, people who are experiencing high anxiety, they might want to hold something cold. It brings you back into here and now. All right. How many of you do you see how I just paused to take a mindful pause as I know the nature of these webinars is really lecture based, and it's still a lot of information to take in. It's still a lot to listen to one person talk on and on for an hour. I don't know about you all. My staff and I, one of the ways that we are actively building wellness into our culture, into our staff, is, sorry, my brain just went all the ways we're doing it, is by intentionally not booking ourselves back to back. So many of us, I mean, you're all here virtually today, which tells me that you often maybe take meetings virtually or do things virtually. And since COVID, I don't know about you all, it seems really easy to just book people back to back instead of creating space. And one of the things that I try really hard to do is to have at least 15 minutes, if not 30 minutes between my meetings, to take time and just like stand up, stretch, walk around, and breathe. Again, a no phone, no technology break. Oh, look at that, mindful digital breaks. I didn't even plan that. Actually, I did, but anyway. uh, this is taking breaks from the things you're doing all the time, right? When we do it, it allows our body the chance to reset. Unplugging is so important. You've probably heard or seen the many schools across the country that are not having phones in schools, and the research that is coming out with that. Adults, we are the same. We need to unplug too. Please take time to unplug. Or if you're like, sorry, it's not going to happen, be mindful in what you're doing. So if you're going to scroll, set timers for it. Be mindful about how it's impacting your body, impacting your mood, and things like that. You all know this, you're adults. All right, friends, we're doing good. I'm wrapping it up. And then we'll have a little bit of time for questions. I have just a few more things, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to decide which of these practices you're going to integrate into your daily life. So here are some quick and easy ways to do that. I say quick, let me make sure I'm not lying. That is correct. So mindful eating. I am a person, I'm 7.5 years sober. And when I went to rehab, I had a gentleman who was teaching me about mindfulness. He was a wonderful mentor. And his name was, we called him Spiritual Steve. He's awesome. And he said, I want you to mindfully eat, because I couldn't be mindful about anything at that point in my life. I was really struggling. And so mindful eating became a practice of mine. And what that looks like is me going, what is the effort that went into this? I had oatmeal for breakfast this morning. So I'm slowing down to take a bite. I'm responding to a crisis this morning. And so right before that, I needed to shovel some food into my mouth, but I also needed to ground as I was going to go do a crisis response, right? So how did I do it? How did I slow down? I literally sat there with my oatmeal and mindfully took a bite and thought to myself, where did this oatmeal grow? Where did this come from? Oh, this is delicious. Oh, I can taste the coconut. And this is what's happening. This sounds silly, but I'm being present with my oatmeal. I'm holding it like this because it's in one of those little jars. Um, and you can do this at every meal. When you are eating and scrolling? Are you eating and emailing? Slow down and just have a meal. Just 10 minutes and see what difference it makes for you every day. Gratitude journaling, this can look like a bajillion things. This could be on your notes app. This could be in your brain. This could be an actual journal. I would prefer it out of your brain and onto something else. But taking the time, again, all of this is science-backed. Writing 3 things you're grateful for at the start, the end, or both parts of your day increases wellness. It decreases stress hormones. I can't even list all the benefits of it. There's so many, it's amazing. Mindful commuting. Okay, I used to have a 45-minute commute, and it was my favorite time of the day because I got to be. It was my like opportunity to just be with myself. I used to count the cars. I used to count when I was practicing mindfulness. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to focus on how many white cars I see on my drive home. Because when I was focused on that thing, I wasn't worrying about what happened at work. I wasn't all of this. I was just there. Morning rituals are also, again, these are things that I do on a regular basis, but also things that I've brought to you backed by science. Okay. So for me, every morning I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and I walk my dog. That's it. That every single morning. Now we take a different route a lot of the time. We're kind of like bouncing all over the place, but every single morning I walk my dog, and I walk my dog without my phone. And as I'm going on my walk, I think about, what is my intention for the day? What do I want to bring to the day? What do I need to let go of? What am I waking up carrying with? And I'm just taking time to set myself up for success. It doesn't have to be a long process. It could be like mindfully brushing your teeth instead of just like, blah. Okay. It could be like slowly brushing your teeth and being like, I'm here, I'm ready for the day. Same thing before we go to sleep. Taking time to reflect on our day, take a deep breath instead of just like crashing into bed or scrolling until we crash. Just setting those evening routines the same way we do with our morning routines. Oh, okay, that was so much. I moved really fast onto this last slide because I've been talking for 48 minutes, which is a long time for a person to be talking. And what I want now is, you have this QR code. There is a list that you can download, and it's all of the practices that we just talked about. So I'm literally going to shut my mouth, and I'm going to give you, I want to say 60. Yeah, I'm going to give you 60 full seconds. And I want you to, as I'm sure you're scanning through the list right now while I'm giving instructions, which is ideal, pick 3. Be like, that one seems doable, that one seems doable, that one. And then pick one of those 3. And I want you to just picture yourself doing it this week. I want you to picture yourself doing it for the rest of the day. And that might look like you telling your significant other, hey, I'm going to start doing this. It might look like you putting a reminder in your phone. It might look like you actually just doing the behavior. All right. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to give you a full minute. You still have 30 seconds. Okay. I hope you picked one. I hope you visualize yourself integrating it, because if it was a breathing exercise, I'm going to give you the opportunity to practice it right now. If not, I'm going to ask you to pick one of these breathing exercises. I know it says 1 minute breathing reset, but we're actually going to do 2 minutes. So I'm going to play these beautiful, lovely, adorable puppies for 2 minutes, and you can either sit and watch them. That is mindfulness right there. Okay. Or you can practice your breath work while you're watching them, or you can just let them play in the background so that you know that there's a timer for you and you can get lost in your loving kindness meditation. All right. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to practice one or multiple of these exercises. Let's see if this works. It does. All right. Okay. I hope that brought you a little bit of joy. I really genuinely hope some of you were able to take some deep breaths. That last puppy with the big fluffy hair, my dog looks like that when we let her grow up, but we just cut her hair and she's just like a little naked puppy right now. Anyway, thanks for letting me share. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, friends, I'm going to wrap us up with just a quick resource in the last 5 minutes. Um, as you all know, the saying "live, laugh, love." I know we're all familiar with this really cheesy saying that I'm pretty sure it was millennials who ruined it, maybe Gen X. Uh, as we are talking about mental wellness, I think it's really important that I always leave people with a resource to reach out to if you are finding that you are struggling more than you would like. People often ask me, how do I know when it's time to reach out for some additional help? And I like to refer them back to live, laugh, love. So live is your ability to do life. Can you go to work, go to school, feed yourself, shower, just do the things that you need to do to move through the world. Laugh is your ability to engage in joyful experiences and find meaning, right? Do I have purpose in my life? Do I have joyful opportunities in my life? And I don't necessarily mean that you're just like rainbows and sprinkles all the time, okay? Um, but this is your ability to access that pretty regularly. And then love is your ability to engage in satisfying relationships, not only with others, but also with yourself. So when you're doing a mental health check-in, when you go to TJ Maxx from now on and forever, and you see live, laugh, love, I want you to think to yourself, how's my ability to move through life? How's my ability to find joy? How are my relationships with others and myself? If I am having a hard time living, laughing, or loving for at least 2 weeks or longer, definitely reach out for help. You don't have to wait 2 weeks though. If it's super intense and you want help, you can get help now. Now, my favorite resource to share, because it doesn't matter where you're at, anywhere in the country, you can access this. It will look a little different depending on where you're at. But 988 is our mental health helpline in the state of Colorado. If you dial 988, you're going to get connected to Solari, and this is our mental health helpline. You can call if you're worried about somebody. You can call if you're having a bad day, you're stuck at a red light, and you know if you don't yell at somebody, you're going to yell at your husband when you get home. That's a real story of a friend. Just saying, okay? She called 988 and she was like, I got to get this off my chest. And they're like, I got you, girl. I'm not exaggerating. That is real. The most common call that they get is people having a bad day. I'm having a hard time and I need some extra support. The second most common call they get is somebody who is worried about somebody else. If you're an employer and you're worried about a staff member, if you're a friend, if you're a young person and you're worried about your aging parent, you can call 988. This is having a mental health professional in your back pocket 24/7, 365. Now, here's the last thing that I'm going to say about 988. If you go home today and you practice using this. So if you are a parent and you've got kiddos in your home like that are using cell phones, sit down as a family and call and or text it. If you text it, go through all of the prompts. There's a lot of them in the texting thing. It's confusing. Show your kids how to do it. Answer all of the questions. When they come on the line or when you call and they answer the phone, here's what I want you to say. I'm just testing this out. You are okay to do that. I know the executive director over there. I've talked to him. I tell him that I tell people to do this all the time, okay? Please practice using 988. If you practice using it, you're 85% more likely to use it in a crisis if you've practiced using it. All right, so do this with your family, do it with your friends so that you know what to expect when you call. And that's it. And please remember to give yourself a hug today. You are worthy of care, compassion, and a whole lot of grace today. Thank you for joining me again. Kim Muller, I'm with the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I will stay on for questions or access to other resources. But thanks again for joining us, and I hope you all have a lovely afternoon.
Kim, thank you so much. This was so helpful. I really appreciate all of the practical tips that you provided. So thank you. We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
And again, we will be sending out a recording in the next couple of days. So you'll get all of this information again in your email inbox. And again, we'll stay on if you have for a few more minutes if you have questions for Kim.